I'm Rick Harp. This is your APTN News Brief for Wednesday, January 10th. We begin with systemic racism and discrimination within the RCMP, something the force says it hopes to address through a new race-based data collection initiative. Under the plan, officers will collect data on interactions with racialized people, including Indigenous individuals. Set to launch this month at select detachments across Canada. They include Whitehorse, Yukon, Wood Buffalo, Fort McMurray, Alberta, and Thompson, Manitoba. The locations are said to be based on 2 years of public consultation. To southeastern Yukon, where proposed mine is at the center of a legal battle between the Kaska Nation and 2 levels of government. A judicial review launched by the Kaska over a failure to consult. Sarah Connors reports.
Yukon Supreme Court Chief Justice Suzanne Duncan has found that territorial and federal governments did provide adequate consultation when approving the Kutsikaya mine to the regulatory process. According to a January 2nd written decision, the governments exhibited significant patience, flexibility, and persistence in their many good faith but unsuccessful attempts to meet with First Nations to obtain their feedback. But the Kaska aren't feeling discouraged. They claim despite issuing a last-minute submission on June 14, 2022, the governments failed to take the document into consideration before issuing their decision. Chief Justice Duncan agreed. Chief Dylan Loblaw of the Ross River Dinna Council, which filed the civil suit on behalf of the Kaska Nation, says it's feeling good about getting the consultation it's been fighting for.
Have our work cut out for us, and we look forward to going back to that June 14th, 22 submission deadline.
Duncan ruled the decision document that originally approved the mine be set aside so the Kaska and governments can have a consultation meeting about the June 14th document. The governments will then be required to issue a decision within 30 days of that meeting. Sarah Connors, APTN National News, Whitehorse.
And a quick postscript to that story. In a statement to APTN, a Yukon government spokesperson said that should the project proceed, the territory would continue to consult with the Kaska throughout the life of the project. Still in the north, a pair of remote Tlicho-Dene communities eagerly await winter road access to the rest of the Northwest Territories. With more, Charlotte Mort-Jacobs.
It's a sight for sore eyes, kicking off construction of the Cleetcho Winter Road in the Northwest Territories. Project manager Tyler Duluth says after months of planning and profiling, a crew of 34 people are responsible for making this critical piece of infrastructure possible.
Last year we used 56 pieces of equipment, from generators, snowcats, water trucks, graders, all that sort of stuff. This year we started on the 4th of December, and we're looking for construction to end on March 2nd.
In November 2021, the Cleetcho community of Wati did away with their winter road operations and opened an all-season road, ultimately lowering the cost of living and boosting economic development. But the landscape doesn't allow a permanent road beyond Wati. Instead, for 6 to 8 weeks, the 275-person community of Gamati can travel nearly 151 kilometers by winter road. And for 4 to 6 weeks, the 140-person community of Wekwati can drive the 243-kilometer winter road. It's not for the faint of heart either. Big weather can roll in quickly.
There's a couple of trouble spots there on the Gamity portion. North Hislop Lake has an overflow whenever the temperatures kind of kick up. So generally there's a snowcat station there, and we deal with that as it comes, just to keep the road open. But when there's a really bad snowstorm, it can take up to 48 hours to clear the whole road.
SAO for Wekwati, Fred Barron, says the community is patiently waiting to receive items such as all the fuel for the year, dry goods, lumber, and a grader.
I've got a duplex for the community government supposed to be coming in. We've now waited 2 years because the ice hasn't been thick enough to bring it in. I believe there's one other house that's supposed to be coming in, our trailer that's supposed to come in too.
Building supplies will also be shipped by road to Wekwati for a new grocery store, expected to hold more bulk items and lower food costs.
For whatever reason, the Wekwati Road never starts until the middle of February. So then you've got a month to build the road. Now you're in March, and April's coming along pretty fast. This year we're starting hopefully within the next few days. We've got an ice profiler where we've never had one before, so we can see how thick our ice is.
Residents can expect to hit the highway to Gamity in February and Wekwati by March. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Wati.
And finally, the Manitoba government has just appointed a new Assistant Deputy Minister of Indigenous Excellence in Education. Appointed to the new role is Jackie Connell, Assistant Superintendent with Frontier School Division, made up of over 40 schools across northern Manitoba. The division is in a state of emergency, according to Connell, and it struggles to fill teaching roles in remote communities, puts Indigenous students at a disadvantage. Connell starts her new job January 29th. She says she hopes to spark widespread change within the system.
Our public education system has relatively looked the same for about the last 100 years. And it was not created to support Indigenous people. And so as a result, I feel like our system does not do a very good job at ensuring equity and achievement for Indigenous students. And I think that really where my goals lay would be in systemic change and system change.
And that's your APTN News Brief for Wednesday, January 10th. I'm Rick Harp.